All right, and let me move on now. I want to perfect the record just in case it wasn't clear during the bench conference. There was an objection made. Ms. Young wanted to go down a line of questioning related to some previous experiences that she has claimed, specifically, I think, some a form of assault, maybe references to a lack of therapy. And my ruling was that I had not seen any reason or relevance of that. Those sound like arguments of mitigation of why perhaps you're not as culpable as you as the state might allege, that you should receive a lesser sentence if you're guilty of these offenses. But the issues here for the jury to determine are the issues of fact, of whether you did in fact commit any of these offenses. And I haven't seen how a previous sexual assault or a lack of therapy mitigate, or excuse me, essentially bears on determinations of this at all. But if you want to further argue that or be heard on it, now's an opportunity for you.
When I first hired Leaf Howard as my lawyer, he was told of the instance multiple times. I'm not sure as to why you all didn't get it. I was not familiar at the time of the court's process and who I needed to reach out to. I let him do his job, but it was not to my recollection that they did not know of what happened to me. But yes, there was a night that I went door. Are you asking me to?
No, I don't really. I'm
Same.
trying to stay big picture, which is what is the reason why the jury needs to hear about this?
Well, I don't know who the person was that came after me. Not only did they come after me, but they had a picture, a Polaroid picture of me carrying my son to my friend's house. It had a blue blanket, had me with my black outfit on, and I had on a headscarf that I always wear outside. When I saw that picture in the midst of what was happening to me, not only on the day that Captain Winfrey, I don't know if she's still captain, but at the time, she threw me a baby shower. Even when I first started working there, I was called out by, I believe, Captain Winfrey, Captain Winfrey.
Captain Winfrey is who we just heard from.
No, that was Grady.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. That was
Okay, so yes,
Lieutenant Grady.
it's been a minute. I'm trying to remember names, but she threw me a baby shower at the jail. And when I first started walking there, I was called out for the way that I walked. I walked like I'm a model or twitching my butt or something. And that put me on the spot for everybody in 6 North. So there is no way for me to know if it was because of the baby shower, because she invited my mother and father without my knowledge too. And if I had any knowledge that she would do that, I would not have invited my parents there, because I keep my work separate from my family for this reason. My son was in danger, I was in danger, and there was a instance that happened in the car. But I got
I'll be honest with you.
from that
I'm still
from
not
that
sure what
situation.
she's
I found
talking
out
about
a couple days
because
after
she
the baby
consistently
shower.
starts.
I'll be honest. I still have no idea what she's trying to say. She keeps starting a thought but never finishes it. So far, I've heard she was assaulted. She has chlamydia. There was a baby shower thrown for her. She walks like a model. And someone threatened her with a Polaroid of her son to make her commit crimes she claims she didn't do. I mean, what on earth is actually going on here?
Okay, I'm just trying to break this down. Is it your claim that someone from an inmate in the jail or another employee there
That may have
did this
possibly
sexual assault?
that may have been the one to do. I don't know who the person was.
Where
But
did it occur?
I tried calling DoorDash to get in contact to see if I can get it, because I called customer service. I parked my car, but I didn't lock my doors. I was having issues with the internet
Let me rephrase. Did this incident happen inside the jail or outside of the jail?
outside the jail, but I was working with Fulton County at the time.
All right, so the objection came, you were asking Lieutenant Grady whether he had some awareness of a baby shower and that sort of thing. Do you have any reason to believe that he did?
Because if he's aware of the baby shower,
Oh, no, that's not my question, not if he is. Do you have any reason to believe that he was aware of the baby shower or your sexual assault?
I would think he does know about the baby shower, because they're all connected. They're always talking, having meetings and whatnot. And it was a surprise to me. So it's like, how else would you get my personal information if you maybe talk to my supervisor, maybe talk to my captain? We've had issues in the past as well, nothing detrimental, but I still need to know where it could have came from anybody. It could have came from Captain Winfrey. It could have came from Lieutenant Grady. It could have came from the
What
inmate.
could have come from them?
If my family was invited to the jailhouse, they could have been followed back. Someone could have been like, here's her information. Because with that situation, me being touched, I was forced to bring whatever they wanted into the jail because they have a picture of my son. They have a picture of my son. Who knows if the next picture might be him at his daycare or me coming into my house. My father.
Okay. I understand. So any position of the state, I mean, I'm just trying to focus on process procedure here.
Right.
The things that Ms. Young is saying, I think that if she chooses to testify, she can go into them.
I agree, Your Honor, but I think at this point, I don't think there's sufficient basis for her to ask witnesses regarding some type of baby shower. I'm just not clear as to the nexus or the sequence of the events that would make it relevant at this particular point in the trial.
Okay. I agree with you there. What we're focused on is, I mean, at this point, I don't think it would be, maybe this additional, I think you said lieutenant that's coming may have knowledge of this potentially that she could ask about.
That is the person who threw the baby shower initially.
The person who's coming next.
Yes.
Okay. Well, glad we're talking about it now then. All right. Well, I think then you can ask this next witness some of these issues. You're going to have to be careful with your phrasing. I think
Right.
the state's objection to facts, not in evidence, is one that could very well come again.
Okay.
And we'll see where that takes us.
All right. So the judge is letting her ask these vague, off-the-wall questions. But there's just one problem. She doesn't even know who she's talking about.
Hey, how you doing? Just stating on the record, I do have the wrong person. This is not the person that was, wrong name.
All right, just for the record, Mr. Miller, can you summarize what exhibits are on the stack that are going to the jury?
Yes, Your Honor. What will be going back to the jury will be State's Exhibit 1, which is the oath. State's Exhibits 3 through 9, which are photographs outside of the jail, as well as the posting. State's Exhibit 12, which is the evidence log. State's Exhibits 22, which is the Caduceus report. And State's Exhibits 23, 24, and 25, which are the GBI lab test results.
Everything else is going to be held back?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I'm going to place the redacted indictment, Court's Exhibit 1, and the verdict form, Court's Exhibit 3 on top of that. And then when we have the consolidated charge as Court's Exhibit 4, we'll include that in the stack. And that will be ready to go back to them when we complete the charge.
And Your Honor, may I place a
Yeah.
copy of the oath?
If you've already got it, just make sure you show Ms. Young that before you do so. I mean, it's a bit redundant since it's also Exhibit 1, but all right. So based on what was just said on the record, is there any objection on behalf of the defense as to what would be going back in the jury room during deliberations?
I would say the oath of office. I object to it because that signature, I have to look over my own document again. My signature, if I'm not mistaken, I signed something else. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. That typed signature, I'm going to have to look at my document and make sure it matches because I'm not sure, I'm not too quite sure if that matches what I actually signed when I started working with Fulton County. And that's all.
But yes, the classic "that's not my signature" defense. Unfortunately for her, she also admitted in the same sentence that she signed the oath of office. So we'll see how that plays out.
All right. Well, if that's all, the objection I'm hearing is to the authenticity of this document and whether it should be considered by the jury. That ship sailed when it was admitted and there was no objection. So those being the only grounds, then your objection is overruled and Exhibit 1 would be going back. Any other objections?
No objections.
All right. So we're holding in place until we have the consolidated version. That's going to take maybe a few more minutes. Are the parties requesting some additional time to prepare for closings?
Your Honor, State's ready.
I just need a brief bathroom break.
Of course. Do you need a PowerPoint or anything else like that?
I do, Your Honor. So what I would do is I would just take my laptop if I can with me to the podium and I'll just conduct it that way.
You're doing the closing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And you're opening and closing?
Yes, I'm gonna do the close. So defense can go first and I'll do everything at one time.
All right. So the state's planning to reserve their first closing. And so what that means, Miss Young, is you'd be up first when we come in and begin closing arguments.
Okay.
And so we'll just take 15, prepare what you need to, practice your PowerPoint, and just let the jury know about 15 minutes we'll be ready to go. We'll be in recess.
Thank you, Your Honor.
1:50.
All right, this is the point where they take a break and come back for closing arguments. Now, pay close attention to what the judge just said. They're taking a 15-minute recess and will return at 1:50. I want you to remember that, because when they reconvene, one party shows up and the other doesn't.
All right, we are now back on the record. The time is just before 2:05. It's about 15 minutes past when I instructed the parties to be back at 1:50 to begin closing arguments. The state is present. The defendant is not. I've asked our deputies to search the floor. They have. They have not found the defendant. They've also sent someone into the bathrooms. She is not in any of those. And we are also now trying to make a phone call. The only phone number we have is to her mother, who had previously conveyed a message for us Monday morning to have her here to start trial. And at this point, we're also going to review security footage to see if she walked out of the front door of the courthouse. But looking at her table, it looks like all of the papers and things that she came with are not here anymore. She left a jacket behind. But otherwise, all of her belongings are no longer here, as from what I can tell. And we're now well after the time I told her to come back. She has not been spotted anywhere on this floor. And so I believe that she has now waived her appearance going forward through this trial, and we can proceed even in her absence under our case law. I would instruct the deputies at any point, if she shows up, she should be let in, and she can resume being here. But until she does reappear, we're just going to proceed. So, Mr. Miller, are you still ready for closing arguments? Then let's bring back.
At this point, they bring in the jury, and only the prosecution is present to deliver closing arguments. The defendant does eventually return, but not until after the jury has already left to begin deliberations.
Is this for me? Judge, is this hers?
I don't know what that
This is
is.
jury charges.
Yeah, that's hers.
Yeah.
Your Honor, Ms. Boykin just went to the office, but she's on her way back now.
Okay. Well, I think we can go ahead and just put some things on the record that we need.
I need paperwork out my bag if that's possible.
Okay, one second. Okay.
All right, let's go back on the record. And first, I would like to perfect some information we received while we've been here on break during deliberations, which is that I requested
Thank you.
Lieutenant Lattimore to review surveillance footage to try and help us locate Miss Young, and he was able to see some footage. And so I'd like Lieutenant Lattimore to share with us for the record what he was able to view and what he observed, and then we'll go from there. So you could just describe that for me, Lieutenant Lattimore?
Yes, Your Honor. I was able to review footage of Ms. Young exiting the 136 checkpoint at approximately 1:51. And from the checkpoint, she proceeded down Prior Street, which is south of us, and made a left at Mitchell and Prior, and proceeded east on Mitchell up to Washington Street, where we observed her make a right turn. And at that point is when we lost sight of her movement.
And this is all through surveillance footage you're reviewing after the fact?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that's several blocks away from the courthouse. All right. Miss Young, where were you going?
Before I answer that, I previously stated that you were in contempt of justice, failure because of failure or refusal to proceed in equity under exclusive jurisdiction. Did you not acknowledge that we were in equity jurisdiction?
If there's anything else you want to say, Miss Young, this is your opportunity to have it on the record. But I'm really not interested in getting into a back and forth. So if you had some kind of emergency come up or something else you needed to address, that's what I was kind of curious about.
I
But otherwise, we're
did.
going to move on.
I did. I needed something to eat. I haven't really eaten since last night. I'm pregnant and I felt like I was about to pass out a little bit. I did kind of forget what time we had to come back. But I got a call from my mother stating that I was supposed to be back in an hour. So that was what took me so long because I went to grab something to eat and I was going to come back. But after I got that call, I was like, okay, well, he did extend the time. But there was miscommunication there. So I apologize for that, Your Honor.
All right. So I just want to break that down, which is it's now about 4:30, and I think they found you trying to re-enter the courthouse about 20 minutes ago or so, so closer to 4 o'clock. And so you believe that you got a call from your mother saying you didn't have to be back for an hour, and I think we called around 2 o'clock because we were trying to start closing arguments, as I'd indicated.
If I can look at my phone records, she called me and told me that I didn't have to be back until an hour because the court, whoever called her. And I've updated my phone number, email address in the Odyssey system. So I'm not seeing why I'm getting reports that you all are calling my mother and my father instead of the phone number I gave.